There exists a secret law, not written in any book, not carved in any stone, yet it governs the fate of every man who's ever walked this earth. A law so simple, so absolute, that those who truly live by it rise above the chaos of the world, while those who ignore it remain trapped forever in mediocrity. That law is this: he who controls his mind controls the world, because your mind is the throne upon which either a king or a slave will sit. It is both your master and your servant, your best weapon or your worst enemy. Every battle you'll ever fight begins there. Every empire that has ever risen was first conquered in thought. Every downfall first conceived in weakness, and every victory first won in silence. Most men never realize this. They chase money, validation, pleasure, and power, but they forget that all of it flows from one source, the state of their own mind. They try to control others, control outcomes, control what people think, but they can't even control what happens between their own ears. That's why the Stoics trained not for applause, not for comfort, not for chaos, but for mastery. The mastery of self. Because when you own your mind, you own your emotions, and when you own your emotions, you become unshakable. You walk into storms without fear. You face betrayal without bitterness. You lose, and you do not crumble, because your foundation is not built on the world, it's built within. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. It's not just philosophy, it's a weapon, because the world cannot break a man who has already mastered the battlefield inside. So before you try to change the world, learn to command your mind. Because the man who conquers himself conquers everything if you're ready to take back that control. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I command my mind. Now let's begin. Your greatest enemy doesn't live in the world. He doesn't wear armor, carry weapons, or walk beside you in the streets. He lives behind your eyes. He hides inside your thoughts. He waits for moments of weakness and whispers. He is the voice that says, "You're not enough." He's the voice that tells you to stay comfortable, to avoid pain, to give up before you even try. He feeds on your fear, your doubt, your anger, and the more you listen to him, the stronger he becomes. That voice has destroyed more men than any war ever could, because it convinces you that you are powerless, when in truth, you were always the one in control. Marcus Aurelius fought his battles not just on the fields of war, but inside his own mind. He knew the greatest empire a man can rule is the one within himself. And the greatest rebellion is silence, the refusal to let the inner enemy speak unchecked. Every time you feel anger rising and you don't lash out, every time fear claws at your chest and you move forward anyway, every time doubt whispers, "You can't," and you answer with, "Watch me," you win another battle in the war for your mind. The enemy within thrives on reaction, but when you stop reacting, when you choose awareness over impulse, discipline over emotion, he loses his power. Because control is not found in suppression, it's found in understanding. And once you understand that your thoughts are not commands, they are merely visitors, you begin to see how easily you can dismiss them. The Stoic man does not let his mind run wild. He observes it, studies it, commands it. He knows the world can take everything, his love, his comfort, his security. But as long as his mind is his own, he is still free. So the next time that voice speaks, don't argue with it. Don't feed it. Just smile, because you've seen the illusion for what it is. And now you rule the kingdom within. An untrained mind is like a storm that never ends. It moves without direction, destroys without reason, and obeys no master. One moment it's calm, the next it's chaos. And most men, they live trapped inside that storm. They are ruled by impulse, controlled by emotion. They chase pleasure, avoid pain, and mistake distraction for peace. Their thoughts pull them one way, their desires pull them another, and by the end of the day, they've gone nowhere. They think they're free because no one tells them what to do, but they are prisoners of their own minds. Slaves to every passing mood, every notification, every craving that drags them away from their purpose. You can't build discipline in a mind that's addicted to noise. You can't build strength in a mind that runs from silence. And you can't find peace in a mind that's never been still. The Stoics understood this. They didn't try to escape emotion. They learned to see emotion for what it was, a signal, not a command. They knew that anger, fear, and desire were natural forces. But like fire, they had to be contained, or they would consume everything. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from having the strength to do what you must, even when your mind screams for the opposite. When you begin to train your mind, you'll see how much of your suffering was self-created. You'll see how many battles you fought that never needed to be fought, and you'll realize that peace doesn't come when life gets easier. It comes when your mind grows stronger. So sit with your thoughts, observe them without judgment. Let them rise, let them fall, and you'll start to notice something powerful. You are not the chaos. You are the one watching it. That's when the storm begins to calm, and that's when you start becoming dangerous, because a calm man in a chaotic world is unstoppable. A Stoic is not a man who feels nothing. He is a man who feels everything, yet remains unmoved by it. That is his secret. He doesn't suppress emotion, he channels it. He doesn't run from pain, he transforms it into strength. The Stoic warrior knows that life will test him through fire, not to destroy him, but to reveal what he's made of. So when others break, he breathes. When others panic, he pauses. When others curse the storm, he becomes the eye of it. Because while most men react, the Stoic responds. And that difference, that split second of control, separates the weak from the powerful. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Think about that. Most of your pain doesn't come from what happens to you. It comes from how your mind interprets it. The Stoic warrior understands this, and so he trains himself daily to master perception. He faces adversity not as punishment, but as practice. He sees discomfort not as torture, but as training. He welcomes silence, solitude, and struggle, because those are his teachers. Every hardship is an opportunity to sharpen the blade of discipline. Every insult is a reminder to strengthen his patience. Every failure is a forge where character is made. He knows that the world cannot be controlled. Only the self can. And once the self is mastered, the world begins to shift around him. Because the man who commands his mind cannot be manipulated. He cannot be broken. He cannot be defeated by anything outside himself. This is the Stoic warrior's secret. He does not chase power, he becomes power. He does not seek control, he is control. So when life strikes you next, don't curse the blow. Stand firm, because that's not chaos testing you. That's the universe asking you one question: have you mastered your mind yet? In a world that screams for attention, the man who can remain still becomes a mystery, and mysteries command respect. Everyone is reacting, everyone is chasing, everyone is shouting, scrolling, proving, defending. But the Stoic? He doesn't compete with the noise. He transcends it. Stillness is his strategy. Silence is his weapon. Because when the mind becomes still, it stops chasing control and starts wielding it. When you can stand in silence, you discover something most people never do. The world bends for the man who no longer needs to chase it. True power is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need validation. It simply is. Think about Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who commanded legions, ruled an empire, and yet wrote his deepest reflections alone, in silence. He knew that solitude was not loneliness. It was recalibration. He withdrew from the world to master it from within, because when you are still, you begin to see the truth. Most of your suffering doesn't come from reality. It comes from your mind's refusal to accept it. When you stop arguing with what is, peace arrives. Stillness is not inaction. It's awareness in motion. It's walking through life without being shaken by it. It's smiling in chaos because you've already conquered it in your mind. And that calm presence, that unbothered stillness, makes you magnetic. People feel it without knowing why. They sense that you are grounded in something they cannot touch, something eternal. So when you find yourself tempted to react, to prove, to defend, stop. Breathe. Observe. Because every time you choose stillness over reaction, you reclaim your power. And little by little, the world begins to bend to your composure. This is the paradox of Stoicism. By doing nothing, you control everything. Everything you see outside of you is a reflection of what lives within you. Every reaction, every emotion, every conflict begins in thought. Change your thoughts, and the entire landscape of your life begins to shift. The world is not happening to you. It's happening through you. It mirrors your inner state. A chaotic mind creates a chaotic world. A disciplined mind creates order in everything it touches. This is why two men can live the same life, face the same struggles, and yet one breaks while the other builds. It's not fate, it's perception. It's what each man chooses to see. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." Understand this deeply. Your outer life will always bow to the inner laws you live by. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. If your mind is weak, life will test you until you strengthen it. If your mind is restless, life will exhaust you until you find stillness. And if your mind is disciplined, life will kneel before your calm. Every time you choose patience over anger, you change your world. Every time you choose peace over panic, you rewrite your destiny. And every time you master a thought instead of letting it master you, the universe takes note. This is the hidden power the Stoics understood. Reality is shaped from the inside out. When the mind is ordered, the world follows. When the mind is free, even a prison becomes a temple. So stop trying to fix the world. Fix your perception. Because once the world inside you changes, everything outside must obey. Every man will face a moment when emotion threatens to overthrow reason, when rage burns in his chest, when heartbreak shatters his focus, when fear whispers louder than faith. And in that moment, you are being tested. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They knew that life isn't testing your strength, it's testing your discipline. Anyone can talk about calm when things are easy, but can you stay composed when everything you love is falling apart? When someone betrays you, can you stay silent? When life turns unfair, can you stay grateful? When the storm rises, can you remain still? That is the test. And how you respond determines whether you are ruled by emotion or by mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Read that again. You can revoke pain, not by denial, not by suppression, but by understanding that you are the one assigning meaning to it. Anger is a test of patience. Fear is a test of faith. Desire is a test of discipline. Pain is a test of perception. And every time you pass, you grow stronger, calmer, sharper. You begin to see emotions not as enemies, but as teachers. They reveal the parts of you that still need mastery. They point to the chains you still need to break. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, this is your trial by fire. This is the forge of greatness. Don't run from it. Breathe through it. Because the Stoic knows, every emotion is an opportunity to practice control. And with each test you pass, the world becomes a little quieter. Because your mind has risen above it. The difference between the weak and the wise is found in a single second. The second between impulse and action. That is the space where kings are made or destroyed. The untrained man reacts. The Stoic man responds. A reaction is emotional. A response is intentional. And that small distinction changes everything. When someone insults him, the weak man fires back. The Stoic pauses, studies the emotion rising in his chest, and chooses silence. When temptation appears, the undisciplined man indulges. The Stoic observes the craving and decides whether it serves his mission. When life hits hard, most men panic. The Stoic breathes, because he knows chaos is temporary, but control is eternal. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." He didn't mean freedom from the world. He meant freedom from reaction. Because when your actions no longer belong to impulse, they belong to reason, and reason builds empires. Impulse is your leash. Discipline is your sword, and every time you choose control over chaos, you sharpen that sword. It cuts through anger, through fear, through weakness, until all that's left is mastery. To control your mind is to command the very forces that control others. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer argue, you understand. You no longer fight the world, because the world begins to move in rhythm with your composure. That is the highest form of dominance. Not control over others, but control over yourself when it matters most. So the next time you feel anger, lust, or pride pulling at your strings, pause, look it in the eye, and remember, the moment you stop reacting, you win, because power doesn't come from emotion, it comes from mastery over it. Imagine your mind as a fortress, its walls built not of stone, but of discipline, its gates guarded not by soldiers, but by awareness. Every thought that enters, every emotion that approaches, must pass through your judgment first. Most men leave the gates wide open. They let every insult invade, every distraction enter, every desire slip through the cracks. They defend their possessions but not their peace, and so they live under siege. But the Stoic man, he builds walls higher than doubt and gates stronger than temptation. He decides what's allowed in and what stays out. When negativity knocks, he doesn't answer. When chaos calls, he doesn't move. He guards his mind like a sacred kingdom, because he knows once peace is lost inside, the war outside is already lost. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." So the Stoic watches his thoughts like a gatekeeper. If it breeds fear, it is denied entry. If it feeds ego, it is dismissed. Only what builds him, what strengthens his inner empire, is allowed to stay. And through that discipline, the mind becomes unshakable. You could strip him of wealth, relationships, and comfort, and still he remains composed, because his strength doesn't depend on circumstance, it depends on command. The untrained man needs the world to be calm to find peace. The Stoic needs nothing, because his calm creates peace. So guard your thoughts, choose your focus, protect your peace with the same intensity you protect your life. Because your peace is your life. Your mind is your fortress, and no one enters without your permission. The world is loud. It tries to pull you in 1,000 directions, demanding your attention, your emotion, your reaction. But the truth is this: the world only controls the man who cannot control himself. Every Stoic knew that mastery begins within. Marcus ruled an empire, yet spent his nights ruling his thoughts. Epictetus was born a slave, yet became freer than kings. Seneca was surrounded by luxury, yet warned against being owned by desire. They all lived by one law, one code: control the mind, and you control everything. You see, when you master your thoughts, you master your emotions. When you master your emotions, you master your actions. And when you master your actions, you master your destiny. The chain always begins in the mind. The man who cannot command himself will always be commanded by something, by fear, by lust, by anger, by approval. But the Stoic, he breaks that chain. He chooses sovereignty over slavery. He chooses purpose over impulse. He chooses calm over chaos. That's what it means to live by the Stoic Code. To walk through life as your own ruler. To face every test with patience, every loss with dignity, every moment with awareness. You stop being a victim of emotion, and you become a creator of your own fate. Because the truth is simple. You cannot control the world. You can only control your mind. But once you do, the world begins to mirror that mastery back to you. Opportunities open. Peace follows you. Power flows through you, effortlessly. This is the hidden empire of the Stoic, not one built on gold or conquest, but on command of the self. And when a man commands his mind, no one and nothing can rule him again. So remember these words: he who controls his mind controls the world. If this message awakened something in you, like this video, subscribe, and join the Stoic army. And comment below: I control my mind, therefore I control my world. Because that is the Stoic Code.